So I'm going to talk about the physical principles of lining. So first, what is a lining? It is a physical phenomenon that produces a discharge. It also produces light, heat, and a sound. So let's talk a little bit about history. The first person or scientific who studied the lining was Benjamin Franklin during the 18th century. At this time, scientists discerned how electricity could be separated into positive and negative charges. They also noted that a connection between the sparks that they can produce in a laboratory and a lightning. So Franklin said that clouds are electrically charged. So he proposes that lightning was electrical. Initially, he proposed this theory by placing an iron rod next to a grounded wire. So if clouds were electrically charged as he expected, then the sparks will jump between the iron rod and the grounded wire. So to explain this theory, he did an experiment, as we can see here in this image. So Franklin attached a key to a kite, which was connected with a string to an insulated string that he was holding with his hand. So Franklin's body, meanwhile, provided a conductive path for the electrical current to the ground. So in addition, Franklin inferred that the lower part of the cloud was generally negatively charged as well. So after the storm, Franklin moved his free hand near the key, and he received a shock. This proved that clouds are electrically charged. Then, how does it work? So the main charging area in a thunderstorm occurs in the central part of the cloud. Here, the air is moving upward rapidly, and the temperature range from -15 to -25 Celsius. This place is very, very cold. So in this place as well, the temperature and air movement produces a mixture of cold clouds droplets, ice crystals, and the Gruppel. The Gruppel is the subhail. So the updraft carries the droplets and crystals upward. At the same time, the Gruppel goes downward. So when the rising ice crystal collide with Gruppel, the ice crystal becomes positively charged, as we can see here, and the Gruppel becomes negatively charged. So finally, we can see that the upper part of the cloud becomes positively charged, while the middle and the lower part becomes negatively charged. We can also see here that the ground has is positively charged, and it also has a little bit of negative charges. So there are different types of lining. The first one is the intracloud, and this is a discharge within cloud from the negative base to the positive. So this only happens in the same cloud. The second one is the cloud to cloud, which is a discharge between the positive region of one cloud to the negative region of the other. And this doesn't reach the ground, as we can see here. And finally, the cloud to ground. This is the most typical lining, which is from the cloud to the ground and from the negative region to the positive ground as well. So the cloud to ground type also divides into 4 different types. The first one is the downward lining negatively charged either, which the negative part of the cloud goes to the positive part, as I mentioned before. And at the same time, the upper positively charged either, where the positive part begins to go upward to the negative region. Then we have the downward lining positively charged leader, where the positive region of the cloud goes downward to the negative part of the ground, and at the same time the upward lining negatively charged leader, where the negative region begins to go upward to the positive region of the cloud. Here we can see the process. The intercloud flashes between the positive and negative region of the cloud. The negative cloud to ground flashes, which is the most common type. And finally, the positive cloud to ground flash between the positive part of the cloud and the negative part of the ground. Here we can also see the slow motion of the charge movement in the lightning flash, of course. This is important because we can see that the light goes upward, but the negative charge always goes down to the positive. So here we have the process. As we can see, we have the cloud. It becomes negatively charged in the lower part and positively charged in the upper. So when a lightning stroke happens to the ground has positive charge. So let's see the process with the most common type of cloud to ground lightning, and the time scale is given in milliseconds. So the first step is the breakdown. The process begins with a breakdown in the cloud charge because of the larger electric field pulses, following by a propagating electrical discharge, calling the step leader, as we can see. So the step leader goes down, and when the step leader is near the ground, the negative charge attracts the positive charge from the ground. So when the electric field intensity near the ground becomes very large, upward going, positively charged electrical discharges from the ground will be initiated. This is called the attachment process. So one of these upward going discharge will contact the downward move. So one of these positive region will reach the negative part. And the primary path channel will be done between cloud to ground. So this trip between the cloud charge and the ground takes about 20 milliseconds. Then, when both charges connect each other, the negative charge near the bottom of the leader channel moves violently, increasing the ionization level of the leader channel. It causes large currents to flow out ground and causing the channel near ground to become very luminous. Then, when the channel has luminosity and current, occurs the first return stroke. So this also produces a lot of heat. Here we can see that it becomes very lightning, very luminosity. So after the first stroke, the lightning flash may end. So this discharge is called a single stroke flash. But 80% of flashes contain more than one stroke. So these are called subsequent strokes. They are initiated only if there is an additional negative charge available in the upper portion of the previous stroke channel. When this charge is available, a continuously propagating leader, known as the dart leader, we can see here, moves down the return stroke channel, depositing negative charge along the channel length. So this dart leader begins the following subsequent strokes, and these subsequent strokes have less current than the first one. So we can see here a second return stroke, for example, and the time given in milliseconds, as I mentioned before. So following, here we have the lightning strike caused by the connection of two leaders, the negative one and the positive one. We can see here the step leader, and here the positive reading begins to go upward. If both are connected, and it produces the flash or the luminosity and heat, as we can see here. So if we want to protect our houses, for example, we can use a lightning rod. This is the same that Frank proposed in his theory. The lightning rod is a metal rod mounted on a structure and intended to protect the structure from a lightning strike. If lightning hits the structure, for example, it will strike the rod and be conducted to a ground through a wire, instead of passing through the structure where it could start a fire or cause electrocution. And they are also made with conducting materials such as copper and aluminum as well. We can see here the example. Here is a home with a lightning rod. We can see that this is a sudden and explosive discharge to a region, which can produce a disaster here. And a home with a lightning rod, the presence of a lightning rod, as we can see here, allows for the gradual release of a static charge from a strong cloud instead of a destructive charge. So here are some of the principal characteristics of lightning. 10 to 20% reaches the ground, only 10 to 20%. And that's because there can be intra-cloud cases or cloud-to-cloud cases as well. Only 3 meters of range, but it can range from 10 to 100 meters. They last from 10 to 50 microseconds. The air temperature can range from 8,000 to 30,000 degrees Celsius. The estimated peak power per lightning stroke is 10 to the 12 watts. It can hold over 100 million volts of potential as well. 4.5 kilovolts for 4,500 volts for a negative charge, and 5.5 kilovolts for a positive charge. Finally, an average lightning strike discharge about 30,000 amperes, and it can range between 5,000 to 50,000 amperes. So finally, if we want to calculate the distance, we need to know both things. The first one is the speed of sound, which is approximately 1,100 feet per second. We also need to count the seconds between the flash and the sound. So here we have an example. How far was the wave moved from the lightning strike after 5 seconds? So we only need one formula per sample, which is the distance equals the speed times the time. So we only need to multiply this the speed of sound, which is 1,100 feet per second, times the 5 seconds, which is the time between the flash and the sound, and it gives us the final distance, which is 5,500 feet. It's important that the distance is given in feet, as we can see here.